but I won the race. And the coach came over and pardon my French, but he said, "Where the hell did that come from?" And it hit me. I could have a beautiful stroke, but do it, stay with me, faster.
What?
Yeah.
Here we go again. Mark and Mike telling you what they think, even when they're not really thinking. Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Marshall, it's wonderful to see you yet again. We've been, well, to be fair, Mike, we've been talking for about an hour.
Yes.
Just catching up. And before that, we had a good 20 to 30 minutes of you rebooting your computer. So, we've been sitting in these chairs for quite a while.
Oh,
Great to
yeah. So that must mean we have something really good to talk about.
In fact, we're going to record several episodes after we talk about this really good thing we have to talk about. We have several things, but this one is interesting. You had told me part of this story before, and you sort of sent me an email giving me a little more of the story. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting story. And you pointed out that this story has a unique feature that we don't often have in these episodes.
Right. We don't know the answer. we don't know what we should have done different. We don't know cause and effect. It's just, yeah. We're actually looking for our audience, both of you, to weigh in and help us figure out what may have gone on here. And this is not an uncommon problem. So it's not like, hey, there's this one time at band camp. No, this is something that we see over and over and over again.
Yep.
Sometimes we figure it out, sometimes we don't. In this case, we haven't figured it out.
Yeah, I love it. And so, certainly give us your comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We're supposed to say that early on in the videos, and we never do, but thanks for reminding me. So why don't you give us the situation? How does this whole story start?
Oh yeah, so typical interaction there. You're talking with the general manager, the overall head of the store, and he says, "Yeah, I've got this 3-person sales management team. All right, I got 3 sales managers, and they have a lovely cadre of salespeople. And sales had plateaued, they'd stagnated, and it's interesting. The general manager, he'd noticed that the sales managers were spending a lot more time on administrative tasks.
Okay.
Always in there. The first thing they do in the morning is come in, turn on their computers, and yeah, there are things that have to be done. But the general manager implored them to allocate more time to performance coaching, training, interacting with salespeople, interacting with customers. That was he saw that as the way forward to
get over this plateau.
Yeah, take sales to the next level, definitely. And what's really fascinating about it is when you talk to the salespeople and you ask them what they wanted, they said, well, we'd like more coaching, training, and interaction with the managers.
Huh.
So yeah, wonderful human beings. The managers, just good people. And the salespeople knew that there was valuable, things that the managers could contribute to make them better salespeople.
Okay.
And so you're like, all right, this is a laydown. We know that if the managers do this, we'll get more sales, and the salespeople are asking for more training, which isn't always the case. Yeah, they want it. Yeah, this is easy. So the general manager, he decides to add support personnel, administrative personnel to help the managers, the sales managers. So he brought in people to support, take some of the tasks, what was that saying, off their plate.
Yep.
And so he did that, and then he also provided additional training to the managers, how to do coaching, how to do one-on-ones, how to hold meetings, how to get people engaged and things like that. And then he was absolutely crystal clear on, this is the goal. You take care of the people part of this thing. I got people to cover the admin part. Sales will dramatically increase.
Here is my expectation. Let's do it.
Yeah, perfectly clear. This is, this is how you're spending your time currently. Here's the support. Here's how I'd like you to spend your time from this point forward, with increased emphasis on the human factor.
Yeah.
So you fast forward, months later, the result, sales remained exactly the same. Right? No change in sales. The three managers spent almost appreciably no additional time coaching, training, interacting with their people and customers. And the only thing that we could, after a careful analysis, the only thing that we could see that changed was we had a dramatic increase in personnel expense from the additional support people salary expense thing had gone up dramatically. And so you're like, oh my gosh. So we're looking at this and we're having conversations, we're meeting one-on-one with the managers, and they admit they want to do it. They see where it could be of value to spend more time with their people. And it was only at the point where the general manager said, listen, I'm going to make changes. I'm going to put you guys in different roles. I'm going to, maybe bring in somebody. I'm going to do something different.
Yeah.
At that point, there was this wonderful brief honeymoon period where the managers were doing everything that the general manager asked.
Yeah.
Interacting with their people, coaching and cheerleading and training and interacting with, it was magnificent. Sales dramatically increased.
It worked.
Like
it really did work.
Yeah, it worked. But the general manager is smart enough to know that this is most likely a temporary, honeymoon kind of effect. And that fear, the fear of change, the fear of a role change, would not be a long-term sustainable thing that would, change behavior. So, we're doing the debrief and we're trying to figure out, okay, what happened?
Yeah.
And when we talk in coaching, it's always forward-looking. What could we do differently the next time?
Exactly.
That could make this, to have the desired effect. And so we started thinking about, okay, what were some of the causes that could be here? And so we talked about, comfort level. Maybe the managers were perfectly comfortable at the level of sales and the level of compensation that they were at.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because, well, actually, let me just double click on the whole scenario first. I'm remembering the Far Side comic that has a scene of hell and a couple devils standing on a hillside looking down at all the damned who are, working and, carting around wheelbarrows of stuff. And then there's this one guy whistling. And the devil says, we're just not getting through to that guy. That's sort of what I'm picturing here is, we're making this crystal clear. This is the expectation. This is what we want. This is why we want it. And nothing. This happens all the time in all organizations, right? I thought this was so clear that this behavior change was needed and the behavior change is not happening. What am I missing? So let's talk about those interpretations and what maybe could be done differently. But I just want to highlight the fact that this is absolutely happening at every organization I've ever worked for until the end of time.
Oh yeah. We've seen this movie before. So the idea that the communication, right, was that the current level of performance was nowhere near where it should be, and nowhere, so you think about, was his sales goal for that department attainable? Absolutely. It was realistic. It was attainable. It was well within the scope of the manager's ability to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, but there seemed to be no discomfort.
Yeah.
If I'm perfectly happy with where I'm at and what I'm doing, why would I change? Why would I do something different? The other idea, the other thought that we pondered was maybe the managers never identified as performance coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So as a manager, I manage these papers and I manage these reports, right. And I'm this person and I manage some information, but I don't identify as a leader of people, a performance coach. Mm-hmm. And so therefore I don't do the behaviors that would accompany that identification.
Yeah.
And so I just don't see myself in that role. The other thing that we thought about was the uncomfortableness.
Right.
Maybe the uncomfortable pain of the change, right? There's always resistance to change. Maybe the resistance was just greater than the desire to hit the goals and achieve the level of success that the organization needed.
Right.
It was just too much to overcome, and the inertia, and it could be, an object at rest stays at rest.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get the objects, in this case the sales managers, to take on a different persona.
Yeah. So that's three outlooks, and maybe I'll throw a fourth one in, and we can sort of bat these around. But maybe they really didn't see the future state the way the way the owner did, the general manager did. Maybe they didn't get enough of a taste of what could be. Either, if you want to look at that as a why or as a vision,
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't see a vision for the future of, this is how good it could be. That's a little different from I'm comfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
That hey, we took it this far. I'm ready to hang up my drive and let's just keep this buddy on cruise control and we're good to go. Um, it's that there's a vision that I want to drive for, and
Yeah,
they
it was,
didn't have that.
and there was definitely a vision, but we don't know that the vision spoke to the
Right.
sales managers.
Right.
It didn't. Yeah, did it inspire them? Was it something they aspired to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously not. And then we had another manager weigh in, and he said his belief was that you should never assume that people want to win as much as you do.
Yep.
Like, oh
Yep.
man.
There's the name for the episode, Mike.
Yep, that's it, right? Never assume that people want to win as much as you do.
Yep.
So one of the reasons that people move up in organizations is they have drive, they have desire, they want to be more and do more. And
Yep.
not everybody wants to do that. And that's fine,
Right.
as long as they're meeting expectations in their current role. Stay there as long as you want. In this case, expectations weren't being met, but nobody moved.
So do you feel like those three gentlemen made a difference to get to the plateau? Do you feel like they were driving to a certain level to get to where they had arrived?
Oh, yeah, I think that, right? I think there's that, in the case of these businesses that we work with, there's just a natural level of business that's just going to happen
Mm-hmm.
because you have inventory and you're in a high visibility location.
Yeah.
Even without trying, if you just had kiosks, sitting there, in the showroom floor, you would sell X number of vehicles per month.
Yeah.
Right? You can't help but do that. And so then the next level would be, what do I get? Each level would be based upon the level of effort put forth.
Yeah.
And so as I put forward more effort, now I go up from this baseline level of performance to a little more, a little more, a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do believe they got it above the baseline.
Okay.
And they could sustain it above a baseline. But there was another level that was available to them with their current staffing, current abilities, current market, everything that was available to them, that they weren't willing to push for.
Interesting, because I'm thinking about DISC and how some people are born maybe innately with this desire to see change happen and to take action, and some people are born with a natural desire for structure and stability, and we need both.
Mm-hmm.
And both would be very helpful on a sales desk of any organization, automotive or otherwise. That you need some structure and some analytical abilities, which would be the S's and the C's, and those people applying some effort could get things above the baseline, right? There are some things they would bring that would get them above the baseline, but they're not naturally going to be competitive the way a D especially, but an I as well, might be in interested in seeing new levels and new levels and new levels. And in fact, I'm that way. I'm an IS, but the S part of me man, you try to turn something into a competition, and I almost check out. Like that's where I sort of say, "What?" But I didn't want to have a competition. I wanted to do cool stuff with a team.
Mhm.
And so if that was not a motivation for them, hey guys, we could hit a new level of sales, you know, but who cares? Like that wasn't going to motivate us in the first place. That's not why we're here. We're here because we got to make this sales team hum, and they're humming, boss.
Mhm.
We're good to go, right?
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
popping
There's
units.
very little drama. There's
Yep.
very few problems, and so as you're speaking, you outline that there is a negative reward for pushing for more. So as I
Oh
push
yeah.
for more, that means I'm going to have more work to do, and
Yep.
then I'm going to have if the X percentage of customers have issues, and I sell more customers, that means a bigger percentage. I'm going to get more of those issues that I'm going to have to deal with as a manager.
Right.
So yeah, there is going to be some additional work, some additional headaches with the higher level of performance. And that was one of the conclusions that the general manager came up with. He looked at the team and said, maybe I don't have a driver. I don't have somebody on there who's high energy, high push.
Right.
I've got these people who like stability. They like to, as you said, build a system and run that system,
Yeah.
and they run it very effectively at that speed.
Yeah.
But there was nobody going, let's go faster.
Right.
Let's
Right.
fire this machine up. I wonder what it could really do.
Yeah.
And so you look at that and go, okay, I need a different energy,
Yeah.
within this circle of leadership.
Did I ever tell you about how I started winning races when I was on a swim team in my high school years? Or is it even?
No.
So, I was on the team for 4 years, all through high school. It was a summer team, not a big deal. Um, but the coaches and even some of like the stroke judges during a race, during a swim meet would say, "You have such a beautiful stroke. You have such a beautiful stroke," which is a really nice way of saying I had done everything they told me to do, and I flawlessly executed the stroke, thumb into the water first and scoop down all the way past my chest. I did all the things they told me to do. I just was slow. And so I never won any races. And something happened in the final year of competition. Well, really actually starting the year before, but basically I just had this race where I said, I I haven't been in the pool for a month. I had a school thing I had to do. I haven't been in the pool for a month. You know what? I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to go all out. And I don't even know that I knew what I meant by that, but I won the race. And the coach came over and, pardon my French, but he said, "Where the hell did that come from?" And, and it hit me. I could have a beautiful stroke, but do it, stay with me, faster.
What?
Yeah,
Stop.
that just hit me. And so I kind of played with that for about a season. Like, yeah, I could just keep doing that stroke, but faster. Like when my body starts to hurt and I start really dying for a breath, like I'm not going to take a breath. I could just keep going. And I started winning quite a few races. Now it wasn't great, but it's like it just something clicked with me that I had a limiting belief, I guess, that this is it, this is where you're at, but I could go further, and it was kind of fun to go further. But I'm going to tell you this: I never once gave a rip about getting a blue ribbon. It just did not really mean much to me at all. It was the look at what you can do, and is anybody noticing what you can do? That felt good, but I didn't care about being number one. So finding what those things are that those guys could unlock beyond the system they had created, and say, could we do that system but faster? Could we do that system but with a higher close rate? Would be, that might be part of the challenge here, is coaching those guys to where they can see that other side of the vision.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we talked about this. You can't motivate anybody, but you can help them find the motivation within themselves.
That's right.
And hats off to the general manager. He tried, one-on-ones, he tried groups, he really, just informal conversations, sitting out with the guys, right?
Yeah.
Just everything that he could think of to figure out, okay, how do I take this thing to the next level?
Yeah.
And the idea, right, of what the idea of which you speak is so foreign to me. that yeah, I'm like, well, why are we here if we don't want to win?
Right.
Yeah, the idea that yeah, I want to look good doing it. No, if it's a mess, and it's mangled, but it comes in first. Awesome.
That's all I care about. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I'm not gonna do anything to hurt anybody, but I would do all that I could, to reach the goal. So,
Yeah. This is why we love disc on this podcast.
Definitely.
There are different types of people.
Well, and I think that was that goes back to the title of the episode, right? Never assume that people want to win as much as you do.
Right.
Goes back to disc, that I'm not leading a room full of me.
Yep.
And because of that, they have different motivations, different expectations, different ideas of what success means.
Yep.
And so, yeah, in this case, right, the manager's mixing up the team a little bit to see if he can find a formula where he has the right diversity on that team, that creates a team that will drive forward and live up to the expectations that he knows are possible.
Yeah, I love it. I'll close my thoughts with this one image I have of the band U2, which we've talked about a little bit on the podcast, and we've certainly sent messages to our clients about the team development and the dynamic of the band U2, because they've lasted a lot longer and had a lot more accomplishments than a lot of bands out there in rock. And one of their secrets is that they're always trying to break whatever they are and become a new thing. That the next album is going to be like, a completely different album, something we've never done before. And I remember thinking at one point, I'm not sure that the albums are all that different right now, that they might be coasting, they might have plateaued. And it took me back to the last big jump that I remember that they made artistically, which was the All That You Can't Leave Behind tour, sort of round about the era of 9/11. And I remember the review, and the British music magazines are famous for being pretty snarky, and the review ended with somebody saying, "This is Bono saying, I'm Bono, I'm fat, and I'm happy. Listen to my fat, happy U2 songs." And like they had arrived, like they had done so many things, so many accomplishments, taken so much heat, and had climbed this race, and you kept thinking there's no way they can reinvent themselves again. And they did, even on that album. And then it did seem to kind of coast a little bit from there. Sorry, Bono, if you're listening. But I think, there can be a point where you just sort of say, this is good enough for me. And that's the challenge of the person above you, to figure out, what is that motivation that we can unlock? What is that thing that would be the either the discomfort or the vision, or perhaps it's the next steps, that just their identity isn't there, and they need to see some next step. That's part of your challenge. We have episodes on this, such as the one on the change formula, which we'll link to in the show notes, to give you some further thoughts. But further thoughts from you, Mike, as we're wrapping this up.
No, and to reiterate, all of these people in the story are great people.
Yeah, amen. Yeah,
and just wonderful human beings. And so the last part of your wrap up, there's one more element, which is, okay, if this is the level they're giving you, and this is all that they can give you, are you comfortable with that? And if so, right, they get to stay.
Right.
We run into guys, you run into lube techs, right, which is an entry level job within a dealership, changing oil. And And the goal is always to get them to be, full master technicians, doing main work and certifications and all that type of stuff. And occasionally you meet a lube tech and you talk to them, and their number one goal in life is to just always be a lube tech.
Yep.
They don't want to be more. They don't want to do more.
Yep.
And you know what? We need those guys.
Amen.
Yeah, we need those guys. It's a very transitory position, and if somebody wants to stay there and they're perfectly happy, they're fully engaged, then God bless them. We need to keep them.
I have a client where that guy, who is close to retirement age, is now the trainer of lube techs. He's been incredibly valuable to the organization. So yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. So everybody can contribute. You just got to find out, in what way, and have those conversations. So speaking of winners, there's our announcer.
Wow.
He is good, and he's at the top of his game. So take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And that's a wrap. It doesn't take a genius. The blog dedicated to reducing the irreducible. Next time, prime numbers. What makes them so special? Join us then, and thanks for listening.
That's good enough.